Hello, I'm back. I'm gonna do a garden tour. It's pretty warm out. The garden's doing okay. Got some things to show. Got my guide dogs, my protectors. I don't know. They're basically just waiting for a treat. So, we'll start here. It's kind of messy, but these are some of the pathetic garlics that I pulled. Look how huge. I did get some much bigger ones that are already braided and curing inside. That's a stevia plant. I'm working on getting some new growth on it so that I can dehydrate and use them for tea. And of course I have spiderets everywhere, including this one. And then my monarchs. Over to the left here, the turtles and Johari just hanging out. Hi, buddy. I use these mostly for herb. There's rosemary, oregano, parsley, some basil I ignored. And then there's a whole bunch of lettuce seedlings, teeny tiny lettuce seedlings in here. And those are houseplants that I have managed to scorch. So let's grab my basket and go for a walk. That's a temporary tent that we're doing something with later. Let's head this way first. My tomatoes are like okay this year. Not awesome, not terrible. Blight, per usual, is being super hard on me, which is why everything's really, really trimmed up from the bottom. I found 2 tomato hornworms in here, but none since. And some of them are turning beautiful colors, though. I did do a lot of trimming this year, snipping off like these suckers. So like the middle one here. I think it did help the plant a lot. And then I was also doing a lot of self-pollination. Like I would be tapping the blooms to help encourage pollination. So I don't think if I did that, I wouldn't have as much success out here. I mean, I'm the only one that eats tomatoes, so whatever. And then I've been transplanted a ton of bee balm. It's spreading, which is great. It's just the amount of bees they're just everywhere. And they really do help with companion planting to bring in the pollinators for everything else. And you're going to see a lot of mildew on my plants. So whatever. Backing up a little bit. This is where my Yukon Golds, my potatoes were. I've already harvested most of them. They were all plants from last year. So I didn't plant anything new this year. I couldn't find any that weren't moldy at stores. So that was stupid. Over here is rows of golden beets. These are leeks. There's a whole bunch of volunteer tomatoes that I probably should have pulled, but I didn't. Pretty sure these are some tigerellas from my friend Kate from last year. And I think there's a really big German tomato back there. That's hard to see. Whatever. I didn't stake them, but whatever. So there are leeks here. The rabbits mostly decimated this entire area this spring. They were just ridiculous. There are rows of kale here. This is all celery. This was sweet onions in this gap here. They ate those completely to the ground. Marigolds just for color and repellence, which did obviously nothing. And then I haphazardly threw zucchini plants and acorn squash into this area. And they did great. I have no idea how, but I have some massive baseball bats inside the house right now of my zucchini. And then the acorn squash, they're just everywhere. Like, everywhere. And there are a ton on the ground. So, kind of pumped about it. Still working along the perimeter is, again, more marigold. I plant petunia everywhere. One, I love them, and so do the bees. This is my new little bird bath thing, apparently. Jeff found it up north. He was going through a house. It's from an old cow farm. I just spray the water out every morning when I'm watering the garden, but the whole idea was the cows would press their nose onto it, and then it would be hooked up to a hose, so the water would come out only when they would press on it, which is ingenious really for water and saving and consumption. All right, so this is how things look out here, this side of the yard. There's probably a lot of tortoise poop, but okay. All my peppers are in containers. They actually did pretty well this year. I was kind of surprised. I have a couple different types. There's some banana peppers. These are jalapenos, so they're from Baker Creek. They're just basically a little bit less spicy jalapeno. I've got regular jalapenos everywhere. I love sweet and hot jalapeno, or cowboy candy, or whatever you want to call it. Put a bunch of bell peppers back here and here. These plants in this container are actually from an orange bell pepper that I collected seed from last year, so that was cool. Little containers of purple kale or scarlet kale. I've been harvesting my edamame, my soybeans, but there's just so many of them. I need to actually pull out these entire plants because these are getting pretty chubby. Even if they stay a few more days, they won't be as fresh and delicious as they should be, but they're so good. Because I ran out of room for tomatoes, I ended up putting some in containers, which they don't do as well here, but whatever. Cucumbers are on their way out. They did not do as well this year as they used to. I always have baskets hanging on these posts to help bring in pollinators because they really rely on being pollinated by other insects in order to not have them turn out really weirdly shaped, like this. Let's see, can I zoom in? That is not pollinated properly. That goes to my tortoise. He eats these, he loves them. And that guy back there is just overly ripe, and I forgot about it. But there are other ones in here, like that guy. I think there was another few in here. Yeah, some of these are pretty good. I just don't think I'm going to be able to make the pickles that I usually do, which kind of stinks, but I mean, you get pickled out real easily. I'm going to put this on my table. This is my tortoise's pile, except for that moldy one. Not going to him. All right, my sweet corn ended up being as tall as me this year. I have no idea why. I think maybe the placement, because it's in a corner kind of, didn't get enough airflow, maybe not enough sun. I did get some ears off of it. We were eating some decent corn, but nothing impeccable. And some of the pollination was a little bit weird, but it could be worse. I mean, that's still edible. A little bit overgrown at this point. I've been kind of ignoring them. So again, just gonna put this here. All right, this is my pole bean structure. My neighbors were getting rid of this entire gazebo arbory thing that they had on their deck last year when they got some new stuff. So because Jeff loves pole beans, or beans in general, I was determined, straight determined, to make this work. The rabbits ate all of my seedlings, all the seedlings down to the ground. This was the 4th round of planting down here. But it actually worked, and I'm so deeply excited that I can't even tell you. There are beans everywhere. So I have to come out here at least every other day and pick, because once they get too thick, some of those are getting a little bit too big, they're not great. And then I blanch them for about 2 minutes in some salty water, let them cool, freeze them on a sheet, throw them into a freezer bag, and then keep on going. That's drying mustard greens, and those are some drying pea pods hanging there. This table is basil that I've let go to seed because I could only make so much pesto. More edamame. A really, really sad looking tomato, weird. Some fennel that I never used. some white sage, lettuce, more of this kale. These are the delicious Chinese lettuce that I grew earlier this year that were ridiculous. Like, I love them, but I did find out that growing them from seed during the summer months is a really bad idea because they bolt like immediately. That was a bad idea because those guys are all the same plant. It's Chinese lettuce. So I will definitely be growing that next year as a springtime crop. Insane. So good. Dill going to seed, more herbs going to seed, more kale. That is all mustard green up here. So I'll pull all those. And I really just do my mustard greens for me and greens for the tortoise. And then the seed I use for pickling spice. I wanted to make my own mustard, but that was hilarious because you need like a lot more seed than I got. These are more tomatoes. Every tomato that I have here, I started from seed in the middle of the winter in my basement, like a crazy little scientist. And most of them were seed that I collected last year. I didn't prune any of this, and somehow blight didn't hit it. So I guess there's a balance between putting it in the ground and actually, taking good care of it. So the lighting right now is weird because it's really sunny. A little bit more. So the side of the garage gets only really afternoon sun. It's like early afternoon right now. That's my horseradish, which every early spring I think, oh, it's not going to do anything. And then, yeah, right. It's huge, really invasive. Don't plant it somewhere you want the space. I plant zinnia down near Joe's entrance. That's where Joe's sleepy time, his little nesting burrow is. And then petunia everywhere else, basically. The zinnia got smashed real hard early in the season by all the water we had. It was so wet, so it really messed with them a lot. But I'm getting some blooms now, which is fun. They're pretty cute. I'm probably gonna make more bouquets this year. I've been learning how to cut them properly from another girl on Instagram. So, and then of course I've just had balm spreading everywhere. And I did plant this salvia. Salvia? Is that what this is? I don't know. This year, and the butterflies have really loved it. So, all right, just like 2 more things. We're gonna walk back like close toward the house, right next to the garage. Okay, on this side of the garage is the weird spot, meaning I never know if anything's gonna work here. Those tomato plants that are really tall are the tomato plants that I almost gave up on because I had put so much into the ground already that I didn't know where else to put anything, and I just shoved them in the ground, and they're doing freaking ridiculously well, like better than any of my other tomatoes. These are all lemon boys. Like, I can't even believe it. And they're pollinating like all the way up, so better believe I have those bad boys strung up because I did not want them to snap. This is where my garlic was. It's all harvested out now. And then I don't really know what this is. I think it is a zucchini squash, but it's like real big and really dark. And I don't entirely remember what I planted here, but it's like halfway doing well and halfway dying. Oh, there's another one. I don't water this area ever unless they look limp because there's so much mildew. Okay, and the last thing is I'm trying to back up and not step in tortoise poop. All the way up here and over is my loofah gourd that I did not get any success on last year. I don't entirely know if I'm going to actually get any blooms or fruit this year. It seems unlikely. It's such a hard spot and hard place for me to grow anything that takes over this much, just how limited my backyard is. So it's definitely grown across, but when it tried to get up and over onto the actual roof, it would singe its tendrils and it would immediately just be mad. So I don't know, we might have to figure out something different for next year. At least I got a plant that grew up with trellis. Last year they were like this big. So that's about it. We'll go say goodbye to the big guy, since he didn't come over to say hello very much. Watch, as soon as I walk up to him, he's gonna suck his head in. Yep, I know. It's fine. Wave goodbye. No? Okay. See you later.